Welcome to Careers After Postgraduate Study, Careers Unlocked. My name is Mickey O'Farrell and I'm the Head of Marketing and Content at Future Students at UNSW Sydney. Tonight, we're going to explore unlocking new career opportunities, whether you're looking to pivot your career path or climb higher in your current field. We'll chat to two UNSW alumni who've successfully upskilled or changed careers with the help of their postgraduate studies at UNSW. We're also excited to have a representative from UNSW Employability join us. They'll shed light on why employers highly value candidates with postgraduate qualifications and delve into why UNSW has consistently produced the most employable graduates for 5 consecutive years, as recognised by the AFR Top 100 Future Leaders Awards from 2020 to 2024. Before we begin, I would like to acknowledge the Bedigal people, who are the traditional custodians of the land we are joining from on UNSW Kensington campus. I would also like to pay my respects to elders past, present and emerging, and to any other Aboriginal or Torres Strait Islanders who may be tuning in tonight. Now, let me introduce our expert panellists. Alice Tang is the Chief Operating Officer of MA Asset Management, an ASX-listed diversified alternatives asset manager. Prior to this role, Alice was at the Macquarie Group for 16 years, where she held senior leadership positions in investment, operations, as well as credit and operational risk roles. Alice has managed the technology transformation for 1,200 global investment bankers in 30 locations and driven value for global institutional investors in their investments in shopping centres in China. Alice completed an accounting co-op at UNSW, and she's also undertaken her MBA exec with AGSM. Our second panellist is Alessandro Luongo, who's a healthcare professional with Digital Health Cooperative Research Centre, where he oversees a high-performing team and pipeline of projects between government, industry and research institutions. Alessandro started his career as an allied health professional in clinical dietetics and exercise physiology, where he spent 6 years before transitioning to consulting on a wide range of models of care and digital healthcare initiatives. Alessandro holds a Master's in Public Health, a Master's in Health Management and double Bachelor's in Science Nutrition and Bachelor's in Applied Science Sport and Exercise. Our third panellist is Shamini Chetty, who's part of UNSW Employability, where she manages the career coaching team. Her career journey has been predominantly in career development, learning and employer engagement at universities in Australia, New Zealand and South Africa. She's also worked as a consultant supporting adults on return to work programs and in the mental health and wellbeing space. Thank you all for being here tonight. I'm going to get started with a question that's pretty broad for you, Alice. You've been exceptionally agile, building a portfolio career that encompasses finance, tech, risk and asset management. Can you talk us through this journey and what's motivated you to keep moving upwards?
Yep, sure. I actually started my study at UNSW. I'm very lucky to have got the co-op scholarship where I had different industry placements and I ended up working with the sponsor, so Deloitte's. So those were the days where I was lugging my laptop around, we're doing dial-ups as I go from client to client. So after 4 years of that, I went into Macquarie and I ended up spending 16 years there, doing a wide range of things from back office, so risk and compliance, to the front office. So I was negotiating the acquisition of shopping centres in China, and of which of the 16 years I actually spent 9 years in Hong Kong. I moved back with Macquarie back in Australia, and before doing that Salesforce implementation, I've since moved to MA Asset Management, where I'm the Chief Operating Officer, and I've got 55 staff members across product development, client service, fund ops, fund accounting, risk and data and technology. So while it all looks like it's all so planned, I think certainly my move offshore and back has been driven by family reason. But personally, I'm driven by learning, always wanting to learn. I get bored if I am not learning in my role. So my dad actually never finished primary school. So I think I grew up understanding the importance of education in my life and lifelong learning.
Yeah, it sounds like it's played a very important role in your upbringing as well. Can you talk to us about a pivotal moment where you think it's really impacted your career trajectory? Is there anything that's significantly happened?
I think the Salesforce implementation was definitely the pivotal moment. I don't know if you know what Salesforce is. At the time, I was asked to implement it, and I quickly Googled it, and then ended up, it was a global implementation. And I've ran implementations before, but this was just so big, and no one wants to use a CRM. So I was quite hands-on from user requirements to testing and change management and stakeholder management. But I've learned so much, and it's so exciting to finish a project and deliver something from scratch. When my current role as CEO was advertised, they specifically wanted someone with technology experience, an accountant in asset manager who has technology experience. So a couple of years back, that was quite a unicorn, and I'm glad I fit both the experience as well as the culture. And since then, I think when we look at how technology is shaping our world, I'm really glad that taking on that project has changed, got me my current role, but also opened my eyes as to all the technology that's out there.
Yeah, so kind of taking risks and leaning into those opportunities when they arrive.
Sure. Grabbing the opportunities.
Yes, absolutely. This one's for you, Alessandro. You started your career as a dietitian and exercise physiologist before completing the Master of Public Health and becoming a program director in digital health. Can you share a little bit about your career path? What did you enjoy about working as a physiologist? And did this experience lead you to really interrogate your sense of purpose and what you wanted to get out of a career?
Yeah, thanks, Mickey. I always think that when someone asks you where did your career start, it always starts when you're actually in school. You don't really know what you want to do, but I knew I loved health. I was good at biology, loved sport. So went into university, had the opportunity to do a double undergrad where I could do both exercise and nutrition. And I could make a career out of doing something that you love. And that's usually where you all start. You're really passionate. So that's kind of where it began. And it's by no mistake that you made it an allied health professional in the workplace. It's a 5-year degree, then you've got to do many hours of undergrad of unpaid work to kind of get your ability to charge Medicare. And so, when you're there and you're working, you're there for a purpose and you really enjoy what you're doing. In my early career as an allied health professional, you connect with patients one-on-one. You sit there, you're really invested emotionally and personally in people's lives and what they're going through to try and change behaviours or educate them. So my career path, fortunately, I was in a government-run organisation that was delivering healthcare services. There was a change in federal directive where they said, we're going to do a little bit less clinical care delivery. You're going to do a little bit more project management, more programs to help support clinical care delivery. And through that, by fortune of a project or a program that comes up, they say luck is when opportunity meets preparation, right? So as long as you're prepared and the opportunity arrives and you're happy to say yes to it, I took that opportunity to start doing some more projects. Little by little, I thought I was losing my grip on my clinical. So what I do, I start a private practice on top of full-time work. So I'm working Thursday nights, weekends, trying to see patients, keep up that skill, but burning the candle at both ends, and kind of came to a point where I realized I've got to make a decision here. What do I really like? What am I enjoying? You give up that connection you had with patients, but appreciate that where I'm moving into now is making bigger, widespread changes. And so very deliberate decision at one point to no longer renew my accreditation, which is a big deal if you're a health professional, and pursue a career in more projects and programs. So following that decision, move up the ranks a bit in the workplace. Had an opportunity for my workplace to support me in undertaking postgraduate study. So again, top of full-time work, chuck on a double postgrad degree, pretty fun. No weekends, no evenings, but all the better for it as employability chances are highly increased in my experience. And I was picked up then by a federal agency working for a federal government, and now in a federally funded NGO in a collaborative research centre.
So that was a very deliberate choice, I guess, to study again. But what was it like being a student?
What was it like? It's very different. I remember studying chemistry and hating it. Like, what? I just want to go out there and teach people how to eat healthier and exercise and move when they've got an injury. So you kind of learn things because you feel like you have to. But when you go back and make that deliberate choice to study again, I couldn't wait for the next lecture to come out. You're learning about how the health system works in my case and how it all pulls together. I knew I could bill Medicare and get paid before, but how did Medicare come into place? what are the differences between how our health system works in Australia versus Indonesia or Canada or something like that, and how can we benefit the health system? So you approach it with a lot more passion, I find, when you enter your postgrad study. You've got that real-world application.
I think you both have that real dedication to lifelong learning, which is great as well. That obviously is never going to go away throughout your careers.
Sure.
Both of you.
Sure.
Shamini, last year more than 300,000 people were undertaking a postgraduate degree in Australia. And we know that the top reason why people seek career change is earning potential. It's about 23% of people, followed by wanting to pursue other opportunities and wanting to pursue passions. Do you have any tips for prospective students who are weighing up the decision to complete postgrad study?
Yep. I'd say the first thing is, why do you want to do this study? So getting to know the why of your decision, looking at your career goals, your career aspirations, the desire to continue studying something that you're really interested in, the desire to continue learning. So the idea of lifelong learning and curiosity is great. But also, Alessandro mentioned preparedness. So looking at your lifestyle, the kind of work hours that you have, the type of study opportunities that are available online, in person, full-time, part-time. How does that tie into your work commitments? How does that tie into your life commitments? Also researching what's available. So looking at different courses, what's the content of the course? Is it actually going to be giving you the information that you're looking for? If you're pursuing it because you want to gain a higher salary, what's the highest salary going to be? Is it going to be significantly more than what you're currently earning? Or is it just something that you're assuming? So doing a lot of research, talking to people who are working in that area, who've studied in this area, talking to academics and maybe even some of your past colleagues, or maybe if you're still mates with some of your classmates from university, getting a sense of what they've done. So doing a lot of research before you make that decision and making sure that decision is realistic in terms of what you can commit, and also it's relevant to what you want to achieve.
Yeah, it sounds like that was your approach, Alessandro, perhaps. You know, you obviously made that choice of a career switch. How did it change your perspective on work-life balance through that stage? Or job satisfaction, I guess. You've made a
bit of both. Yeah. I guess in my case, as I kind of pointed to earlier, the satisfaction you get out of being a clinician and holding someone's hand, kind of, so to speak, going through what they're going through one by one and guiding them along the way. It's a completely different job satisfaction now, where a really good Excel spreadsheet can get me excited, you know, which is a weird thing to say out loud, or, you know, you implement a new software or something to that effect. Your appetite, so to speak, changes. You know, your taste buds change as you grow. So does, I think, what you're satisfied with. With work-life balance, I won't say that one role gives you a better work-life balance than the other, in my case, but rather, as you're a bit older and you do some postgrad study, you become more deliberate in your choices, and you choose to perhaps sacrifice some of your weekends or evenings to work harder. And that's blended in with the passion that you have with what you're doing. So work-life balance, I think, is a choice, but yeah, very, very easily you can sabotage what you have in your personal life if you don't keep an eye on it.
Yeah, I read something the other day about we should reframe it as life-work balance. The life should come first, and we can organise the work around the life. I like that approach. Shamini, according to Graduate Outcomes Survey, salary outcomes for postgraduate coursework graduates are much higher than for undergraduates, almost $25,000 more. What have you found to be the long-term benefits of postgraduate study?
So I think definitely the main investment is in yourself, so personal growth. You're also adding to your employability skills, you're adding to your knowledge. So there's a range of skills, critical thinking, problem solving that you're gaining, but you're also making yourself relevant to the world of work as well. You're staying relevant in terms of the knowledge that you're gaining. You could also have great impact. So if you're choosing an area of study, like you mentioned, that you're really keen on and interested in, you could make new discoveries. You could also gain more in-depth information on a specific area of study as well. And again, kind of honing in on things that you're quite keen on or always been interested in, and then having that detailed information to make an impact in your world of work. So that's definitely one of the sort of big impacts that you could have and gain from postgraduate studies.
Thank you. Alice, you studied the MBA with AGSM, so this program is currently ranked first in Australia, which is very exciting. And it's really designed for people who want to enhance career opportunities, move into a new industry or start their own business. What active learning experiences and practical skills gained from the MBA did you find helped you in your own personal journey?
For me, the MBA took me out of my functional expertise and really broadened my view of the world. Learning around HR as a sort of a young manager and change management, all of those things actually came in handy later on. I still remember this amazing lecturer who was visiting from overseas that gave us a lecture on negotiations. I think really appreciated the quality of the teaching. Probably above all, it's the friendship and network. I did my MBA more than 15 years ago, and I still keep in touch with my classmates. So I think that network, as you grow in your career, is invaluable.
I love that. Did you have the same cohort experience?
Yeah, for sure. I was actually fortunate when I did my postgrad that another colleague of mine did it as well with me, and I think having that shared experience is something you keep together. And I'm not sure if you work in the same field as the MBA is quite varied, but I'm fortunate enough to still bump into her in time to time. So yeah, it's really nice.
The variety is good, though. I think that's the thing with MBA, because people come from different industries. So, but it's also nice to have someone in the same industry. Best of both worlds.
Yeah. This is the last question from me, and it's for you, Shamini, before we move on to Q&A. It sounds like employers really value people who constantly reskill to advance their careers. What are some ways people can add to their toolkit and start making valuable connections?
I think Alice and Alessandro have mentioned the networks that they've built, and that's definitely a key aspect of doing postgraduate studies, not just with existing colleagues, but also with new people that you meet, but also with your lecturers. There's a different relationship when you're a postgrad student. So maybe the academics and lecturers, you're a bit more collaborative as well. So there's lots of opportunities there to gain collaborative networks across a range of areas, maybe sometimes in disciplines that you've never really considered. It's also a great opportunity for you to link in with UNSW alumni as well. So if you're studying in a certain area or you're thinking of studying in a certain area, maybe contacting people that have studied a similar area or researched a similar area, making those connections so that they can advise you on your postgraduate studies, and they could kind of steer you in different areas or confirm your choice and steer you in the area that you've been looking at. And you could do this through a range of areas. You could definitely in person is excellent, but just going online onto LinkedIn or even Twitter or Instagram, depending on what the social media platform is that's relevant for your industry, that would be a great way to connect. And if you're at UNSW and you're studying a postgraduate degree here, UNSW Employability has a mentoring program. A lot of faculties and divisions also have mentoring programs, and quite often we have our UNSW alumni or industry professionals supporting you through that process as well. So yes, I'd say once you're studying, building that network, but also continuing to keep those networks, because there may be opportunities to change job roles or to get involved in some interesting research or projects or groundbreaking technologies that may be found out. So definitely networking is key. And it's not just the aspect of, for your work, but also having great friends that you have common interests with as well. So that's the other aspect.
That's so true. Your professional network doesn't have to be just professional, does it? It can be much broader than that. You've got connections from your cohort, 15 years old now. I love that. Some of the best friends you ever make are at uni. We're starting to get some questions from the audience now, which is great. The first one is for you, Alessandro. Can you discuss the challenges you faced when transitioning to your new career angle in digital health, and how did you overcome those changes?
I think one of the biggest changes, particularly in my field, where I guess when you're clinical, you talk to other clinical people, you talk to doctors, you talk to nurses, and you think, oh, the nurses think so differently to the allied health. But then you take a step back, you work on a bigger picture. And in my team now, my CEO is an economist. The CFO I talk to every day. So you just have such a different adjustment to what you thought the workplace was like in my particular instance, and the types of skills and conversations you have. And that's a really beneficial thing. So I guess it's a challenge at first, but if you've got that learning, growing mindset, every interaction you have with someone who works in a discipline so different to yours, you've got something to learn and something they can learn off you. So bit of a challenge when you're trying to learn the new things, but in the end of the day, treat it as a learning opportunity, and you'll be happy to be there. Yeah,
I love that. Every opportunity is an opportunity to learn. Shamini, if people are looking towards postgraduate study as a tool for reskilling, what are some strategies they can use to get their employers to support them?
I think when prospective students are thinking about postgraduate studies and how they can benefit or how the employers can support them, the first thing we think about is them helping to pay for your fees, and which is a great opportunity if the company does offer that. So looking at what policies and structures exist in the organization to support your studies, speaking maybe to your manager when you're doing a performance planning meetings or discussions, or even speaking to the HR team. But that's just one aspect. A lot of companies will provide you with hours, study hours. They may even provide you with projects or ideas on things that you could research or use as part of your postgraduate studies. So there are additional benefits in that companies can provide, rather than just saying, okay, we're going to pay for your studies, but also the support that they're giving you during your time while you're studying. And on the flip side, are you showing them the benefits of why you would be studying? What benefit is it to the company? What long-term impact is it going to have for them and for the organization, not just for yourself? I think that's quite important. But also when you're in, studying and working, you need to show your commitment to both areas as well, so it doesn't feel like the studies are impacting your deliverables at work. And I think once you provide that confidence, you'll get a lot more support from your colleagues, your managers, and the organization as a whole. And also in terms of looking at people who have studied in your organization, what advice did they have? What challenges have they found, and how did they overcome that? So I think it's important to build on those networks and find out what your organization has to offer to support you more broadly.
I think that's a really important point, and I'm going to ask if you were supported by your employers to study.
Yes, so my study was financially supported, as well as the time off, and I think certainly the acknowledgement that it would benefit the firm on a long-term basis, and I ended up staying there for so long, so I think it's mutually beneficial.
Yeah, and you spoke about working on weekends a lot.
Yeah, weekends. They did give me some time off as well, and some financial support at my workplace. I was very fortunate. And as you were mentioning, Shamini, I actually did do some assignments that perhaps benefited, or you kind of did your assignments focusing on things in the actual workplace. I think you're exactly right. You kind of get a lot more out of it than you think. You're just going to come up with this degree that you're going to slap onto your resume, but you've grown, you've helped the company along the way. Yeah, you get a lot more out of it when they're involved.
Alice, I think this final question is for you. In your opinion, what are the most critical skills or qualities for career advancement in today's job market?
I think potentially, because I've done a lot of this, is pivoting and learning to take on new challenges and opportunities, some of which we've covered already today, I think, out of both of our careers. The world is changing so quickly, so our role isn't going to look the same, and the economy is changing all the time. So being able to grasp that opportunity, learn along the way, and get a lot of enjoyment from learning from your peers around you at work, and also growing your career that way, I think is important.
Yeah, that's great advice. And with that, we've reached the end of our time this evening. Thank you so much for joining us. And to everyone who joined us online, thank you. Good night.